Hello, Namaskar, good evening. This is Balneet Singh Bedi. I welcome all of you to the daily news analysis session by Tathastu ICS. Good evening, Sonali, and a very happy National Civil Services Day to all the future aspirants. A very happy National Civil Service Day. Before we begin, a quick announcement for the GS courses as well as the optional courses. We have GS Foundation morning batch, evening batch, which has started on Saturday, that is 19th of April. And along with that, we have optional batches of philosophy and PSIR. Philosophy optional by Dr. Tanu Jain ma'am as well as her team, and PSIR optional by Dr. Manoj Sharma sir. So any of you who wants to get enrolled, you can jot down your comments or contact the Tathastu ICS team. Good evening, Ruchi, Deepika, Shivansh, Dheeraj, Mansa. Good evening, everyone. Now let's start today's session. Under Means Manthan, we will be discussing the heat waves with short and the long-term measures, and the second one is about enabling legislation. So the first one, as we all know, India is experiencing extended period of heat waves, as well as the frequency of heat wave has been increased in India for the past 2 decades. So we will see that what are the short-term measures as well as what are the long-term measures in order to control the heat waves, and what measures government is taking, as well as what all editorial is talking about. Under this we will be discussing. Then comes enabling legislation. This is a landmark judgment, a historic judgment by the Tamil Nadu government under the chief ministership of M.K. Stalin, in which the Tamil Nadu government has decided to provide reservations to persons with disabilities in the panchayats as well as municipal bodies. So we will be discussing the person with disabilities in detail, as well as a little bit of information about 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992. Good evening, Mamta, Mansa, Charita. Good evening, all of you. Then comes the Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, as I've mentioned in my last TNA as well, that is on Saturday, that 2 cheetahs have been relocated from Kuno National Park to Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. Where it's located, which districts, what river, when cheetah reproduction project was started. So we will be discussing all that in detail. Now the first editorial, the heat waves, tackle heat waves with short and long term measures. Ankit, इसको थोड़ा सा zoom in कर देना, comments थोड़ा सा और, yeah, perfect. Yeah, Sabu, Charita, let's start. Absolutely. So why in news, increasing heat wave frequency in India, covers GS paper 1 geography and GS paper 3 environment and ecology. So before we begin the editorial, I would like to ask you, what are heat waves? Basically, heat waves are the prolonged periods of excessively hot weather, which is also accompanied by high humidity, and all this have a very drastic impact on the humans as well as the animals. Heat waves are so severe that in Europe, in the year 2003, there were more than 70,000 deaths due to heat waves. Even if we talk about India, in India 2015, more than 2,000 deaths due to heat waves. Majority of the people were from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So heat waves are the period of excessively hot weather accompanied by high humidity. Let's focus here, Kushi. Then the number of heat wave days and their intensity have been in rising over the past 2 decades. This date saw an early onset of the severe heat waves. So basically the editorial is saying, in the previous year, which was the hottest year declared so far, this year heat waves उससे 15 दिन पहले 20 दिन पहले आ गई है. That means अगर ये 15 मार्च को इस साल है, तो last year it was 30th of March. So this is why I just said increased number of heat waves as well as the frequency of heat waves have increased. 2024 as the warmest year globally, temperature 1.55 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. Heat stress impact multiple organs. As we all know, it impacts brain, it impacts kidneys, it impacts your organ system, and it can result in death as well. Sometimes it could lead to heat strokes as well, and that is why we all are supposed to take care of ourselves, especially the northern India. Then the socio-economic impact, it affects the farming sector, reducing agriculture output as well as the damaging livestock. There was a famous example of tomatoes in Maharashtra where the yield of tomato got reduced. What would it lead to? Reduced the farmer income, reduced farmer income, and increase in prices of tomatoes. And farmers would be requiring more irrigation during the heat time. So more water is required. There would be more death of the livestock as well due to the heat waves, because they are to some extent more exposed to the heat. Delhi is highly impacted. Absolutely. Sabu, if you want to join the class, you can drop a comment in the video and our Tathastu ICS team will definitely get back to you. So the economic loss, the editorial is talking about that if the construction sector is facing the problems, the agriculture sector is facing the problems, so there would be around loss of 3 to 5% of India's GDP. Now this is an important figure which you need to remember. 3 to 5% of GDP would be lost. The labor intensive agriculture construction sectors, highly vulnerable construction sectors, labor intensive sectors. We all know the street vendors जो सब्जियां बेचते हैं, we all have seen they have to walk through the lanes and lanes under the direct heat of sun. Then there are construction workers, they all are exposed to the heat related stress and leading to reduced work capacity as well as income loss as well. And that is why we are saying there would be loss of 3 to 5% of India's GDP. Then comes the vulnerable groups, disproportionately affect the poor, the marginalized as well as gendered social structures. Gendered social structure, basically the women has to walk for long to carry and bring the water. She has to cook in the firewood, so there would be more smoke. पहले ही बहुत गर्मी है, and that would addition to the impact the health of the women, as well as she has to bring water and firewood, as well as she has to take care of the caregiving to the elderly, to the child, and that would 100% add extra burden to the women. So women, migrant workers, subsistence workers are particularly vulnerable. I've explained this. A significant proportion, 75, this is the ILO data, that around 75% of the workforce is involved in unorganized sector, is involved in heat exposed jobs. As I mentioned, the construction workers, the daily wage laborers, the street vendors, all these are exposed to the heat exposed labor. Then comes the heat action plan. The heat action plan, the first state to implement the heat action plan was Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad implemented the heat action plan, under which it used to share the color coded warnings as well as the SMS based warnings, and it also included early hospital preparedness programs. So that in case अगर कोई problem होती भी है तो hospital should be ready to deal with the cases related to heat waves. Then most heat action plan focus on early heat wave reduction, community awareness, health system preparation, long-term cooling solutions like green spaces, tree plantations, and there should be more data collection on the heat related death and the health impacts. Then the short-term measures, these all have been provided in the editorial. We'll quickly read. Providing adequate drinking water, electrolytes, staggered work hours, as well as advisories on hydration. So basically we all need to keep ourselves hydrated. We need to drink at least 4 liters of water, and that too for girls. For females it should be 3 to 3.5 liters, and for male it should be 4 to 4.5 5 liters. So all of you need to drink water and keep yourself hydrated. You can take electrolytes as well. Then the long-term solutions, infrastructure improvements. We all know the condition of Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai due to the high-rise buildings, concretized roads. It makes it a urban heat island. There is no green space. There are no more plantations which can reduce the impact of the heat wave. So it is saying the long-term solution is infrastructure change, better urban planning and use of reflecting material like cool roofs, increased tree coverage as well as park. Then data driven action using heat stress data. So basically we need to make the policies and implement them according to the heat related stress data. We need to have the heat related data, empirical data, so that we can focus on adjusting the plans accordingly. Then comes the quick comparison between the countries. I'll discuss one by one. UK heat health alerts and notable features uses both day and night temperature threshold. So basically they compare the data कि दिन में कितना temperature है and रात में कितना temperature है and what is the difference between both. Then Pakistan heat wave resilience strategy, focus on informal worker safety in Karachi. Then Bangladesh climate smart cities initiative, such initiative we also have in our country, heat data integrated urban planning. And France post, I told you na, 70,000 deaths in Europe, and after that France become more proactive. It includes red alerts and it provides special care to the elderly. Among these examples, learn at least two. Learn UK heat health alerts. It's basically easy to remember. Then heat wave resilience strategy, Pakistan. Then Bangladesh climate smart cities initiative. And when a question comes, a mains question comes, you should be writing the global examples as well. So we have learned 3 examples here, the Pakistan, the Bangladesh as well as UK. So you should be doing this by heart as well. Impact of climate change, very simple. We have discussed rising temperature predicted to increase already existing marginalized population, उनकी vulnerability काफी increase हो जाएगी. Then exactly, Sonal, right? Then climate induced disasters are expected to worsen, further stressing the India's ability to adapt. Then comes the policy recommendations. What it is saying, it is recommending that there should be data collection on heat stress, morbidity, mortality, particularly in the urban centers. So we need to collect the empirical data, the correct data through a survey which is methodological, which is relevant, which can be trusted. It should not be full with errors. Our data about what? The heat stress related death, the mortality because of the heat waves. Then targeted intervention based on geographic and socio-economic condition, and research and technology in cooling, and for those living in dense urban areas with limited resources. So basically heat waves is no longer a social anomaly. It's no longer a social anomaly. It has become a public health emergency. It has become a public health emergency and economic disruptor. And you can also write as well as climate justice error. These are the key terms which are not mentioned in the editorial. So you need to write it down. You can just write it down in your notes. What? Heat waves is no longer, you can conclude your answer with these 3 lines, with these keywords. What are the keywords? Heat waves is no longer a social anomaly. It is about public health emergency, economic disruptor, as well as climate justice error. So we need to have data, we need to have dignity of the workers at the core of the heat governance. So we need data, we need decentralization, as well as the dignity of workers should form the core of the heat governance. You can write these words as well: data, decentralization, as well as dignity of workers. Which workers? The street vendors, the daily wage laborers, the construction workers. Dignity of workers, which form the base of heat governance. I hope I have made sense here. All this is clear. So these are the keywords which you should have noticed, which you should have made notes of. Now there is a prelims PYQ. We have discussed this before as well. So quickly solve this question, everyone. Khushi, practice PYQs, practice test series, revise your foundation subjects, revise your current affairs. Do not pick up any new source now. Just revise whatever you have studied till now, and all the very best to you for 25th of May. Come on, give me the answer, everyone. Sonal, you have given the correct answer earlier. Sabu, Sonali, Shobit, Dheeraj, you all have given the wrong answer. Why? What are the possible limitations? What are the possible limitations of India in mitigating global warming at present and in the immediate future? First, appropriate alternate technologies are not sufficiently available. This is absolutely right. The alternate technologies are not there in developing country like India as well as the global south countries. India cannot invest huge funds in research and development because we are a developing economy. We have education to look after. We have healthcare to look after. We have to improve the standard of living. Now you have given the correct answer. Mamta, Mansa, Ruchi, Charita, Anand, Sabu. Now you have given the correct answer. The last, many developed countries have already set up their polluting industries. Absolutely not. India is a sovereign state. India is an independent nation. Why would we allow the foreign nations to come and set up polluting industries in India? We have a goal to achieve net zero emission by 2070. So we can't allow, we will not allow possible limitations. We will not. So the correct answer is 1 and 2. Please practice PYQs. See, we have mains PYQ as well, which was asked in 2013. Bring out the causes for the formation of heat islands in the urban habitat of the world. Those who are not appearing this year shall practice this question. If you are appearing this year, focus on prelims. But if you are appearing next year, that is 2026, to try to write this answer. We have discussed most points in the editorial as well. Then enabling legislation, as I've informed, Tamil Nadu government under M.K. Stalin has passed 2 bills to provide reservation to persons with disabilities in the panchayats as well as the urban local bodies. So person with disabilities, according to census 2011, if I tell you, we have 2.68 crore persons with disabilities in India. That forms around 2.2% of India's population. This is according to census 2011. Then we celebrate International Day of Persons with Disabilities. We celebrate that day on 3rd of December. All this information is not there in the news, but as a value addition, I am telling you all the information. So 3rd December is celebrated as International Day for Persons with Disabilities by UN. Why do we celebrate? We observe this day in order to include the persons with disabilities in the mainstream society, to include them in education sector, in healthcare sector, to provide them political representation, to provide them legal representation, and bring them at par with the majority of the population. So 3rd December is the day, as well as we have one more article, 41 in DPSP, which talks about what? Which talks about right to work, right to education, right to public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. Last word is disablement, if you can see here. So article 41 talks about right to work, education, public assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. So it's the duty of the state to provide assistance to the differently abled people or the disabled people. Absolutely, PWD also includes acid attack victims. Now the disabilities have been increased to 21. Earlier it was just 7. So now we have 21 disabilities. In this we have intellectual, no, we have mental health victims as well, mental health victims, and we have acid attack victims as well. Acid attack victims. What is benchmark disability? Benchmark disability, anyone? Benchmark disability, basically this is 40% of the certified disability. 40% of the certified disability. So persons who are having benchmark disability or who have 40% of certified disability, they can avail free education from 6 to 18 years. From 6 to 18 years. Free education for 6 to 18 years. Then we will discuss all this in further as well. Now quickly get back to the first slide. That is Tamil Nadu's pioneering legislation. As I have informed, I'll read it for you. MK Stalin 2 bills, representation of persons with disabilities in Tamil Nadu local bodies. One bill is for municipality, the other bill is for panchayats. Nominate person with disability, that is in town panchayat, council, corporation, by amending the Urban Local Bodies Act. As well as the second bill, the panchayat, union council, district panchayat, by amending the Tamil Nadu Panchayat Act. Then comes the next, guaranteed post for PWDs. Basically these are the posts. Look at the number of posts, 650 persons with disability in urban local bodies and 12,913, then 388 and 37 in the district panchayats. It's an increase from the currently they just have 35 persons with disabilities in the urban local bodies, and now the positions have increased to 650 persons. So it's a massive achievement for Tamil Nadu and a historic step in order to include the person with disabilities in political representation. So this is not only symbolic, this is tokenism to the social inclusion as well. Then the empowerment and social inclusion. The move is seen as an effort to ensure dignity for persons with disability, address stigma, discrimination, empower this community by involving in decision making at the grassroots level. It also provides them affirmative action as a way to tackle the historical wrongs faced by marginalized community. As you all know, affirmative action policies are the initiatives by the government for the historically marginalized communities, historically vulnerable communities. For example, government provide them scholarships, government provide them reservation policies, government provide them quotas, so that they have fixed percentage in the government jobs or fixed percentage in the educational institutions. Then comes the next, that is parallel to women's reservation. We all know 73rd and 74th Amendment Act. Basically what it has provided 1/3 reservation to women in the panchayats as well as the municipal bodies. Then 73 Amendment Act, it has added part 9 and it has added part 9A. This is municipalities and this is panchayats, and this has also added 11th schedule and this has also added 12th schedule, and 12th schedule deals with 243 article W. So article 243W deals with the 12th schedule of municipalities, and it has 12th schedule has 18 functions. 18 functions. Now quickly let's get back to the editorial. These all are extra information for your quick revision, which ensured 1/3 reservation. Tamil Nadu efforts first in the kind of the country to bring person with disabilities into the mainstream by ensuring representation in the decision making process. Then the addressing implementation challenges. See, if we talk about the challenges which they face, basically we need to provide them. If we talk about their public transportation, for persons with disabilities, what do we need in order to make all the services accessible for them? This is talking about the political representation. What I'm talking about, the social representation. So for public transportation, we need low floor buses, right? We need low floor buses. Then we need ramps at the railway stations. We need elevators at the metro stations. See, if we're gonna have these services, then only they will be able to exercise their rights, that is right to education और right to work as well. अगर एक differently abled बंदे को यहाँ से अपने काम पर जाना है, so he need the public transportation. So for public transportation, he needs low floor buses, he needs ramps, he needs elevators, ramps for wheelchair access कि easily wheelchair वहाँ से जा सके. Right? Then comes the next, workplace accessibility. Workplace accessibility mein what can they do? They can provide them sign interpreter languages. Sign interpreter languages in order to make them understand the things at the workplace, as well as it can also be provided the flexible working hours. जरूरी नहीं है कि if I have a job of 9 hours, so they also need to work for 9 hours. Their work hours should be reduced for 6 to 7 hours, and they should be provided cabs as well by the companies, by the organization. Then also we can have their social inclusion. How we can have their social inclusion? If they go to, sorry for this eraser, if the persons with disability visit park, visit libraries, visit restaurants, there should be special toilets for them so that they do not face any sort of problem. There should be accessible voting booth for them so that they also feel, oh, they are included in the social fabric of the society. Then you can provide them education accessibility. How we can provide education accessibility? Education accessibility by braille materials. You all must have heard about this. Braille materials for visually impaired citizens. Visually impaired citizens. The blackboards should be such that they are able to understand, they are able to acknowledge the things, as well as healthcare accessibility. Healthcare accessibility, there should be wider corridors so that the wheelchairs can move, and they can also move very freely. They need to have separate examination rooms in order to any sort of test needs to be conducted or diagnosed. So there should be healthcare accessibility, as well as they need to be the healthcare staff needs to be sensitized, needs to be aware, so that they do not mock upon them, they do not laugh upon them, right? So healthcare sensitivity and more awareness and more training to the healthcare officials. These are just extra points which you need to remember so that you understand the topic really nice. Then acknowledge past challenges such as de facto replacement. So basically what they are saying, we all know the concept of sarpanchpati. Basically what happens here, if the women wins the local body elections, so women are not the one who are at the forefront to take care of the things, or who's taking decisions, or who's meeting the citizens who have elected her. Rather, their husbands take their role. So recently there is a concept of sarpanchpati. Same in this case. If the persons with disabilities are being provided the political representation in the assembly, in the local body assemblies, that is panchayats and municipalities, so make sure they are the ones who are making all sort of decisions and not any of their family members. Of course, family members can assist them, but they cannot take their place the way sarpanchpati taking place of their wives. Husband and decision making must ensure benefits reach the intended beneficiaries, that are persons with disabilities. Global significance, as we all know, there are two cases, there are two global stories, that is New Zealand and Canada. They are having disability commissions whose primary job is to address the grievances of the persons with disabilities, and they are working at a forefront. They are always available in order to provide them all sort of facilities in the healthcare, in the education sector as well as the public sector. So this step as a precedent for other states could have far-reaching impacts on the political and social inclusion, contributing to their acceptance and not just as the recipient of welfare. So two global stories I've discussed is New Zealand and Canada. Then comes under Prelims Sarthi, we have discussed this so far, but a quick revision of this, Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, it comes under Nimach and Mandsaur district of Madhya Pradesh. Which river flows through here? Chambal River flows through Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. Cheetah reintroduction project was introduced in 2022. So basically from Namibia we had brought around 10 cheetahs, and from South Africa around 12 cheetahs, and out of those 2 have been relocated to Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh itself. Now the third reintroduction of cheetahs is from Botswana. All these are important because African continent has been important for the past 2 to 3 years. We all have seen many such questions come in the UPSC prelims from African continent. So we should be knowing all these countries: Namibia, South Africa, Botswana. This is going to be the third introduction of cheetahs from this country, right? So with this we have, okay, I have a question for you. Quickly solve this question, please. Very good, Mamta. Charita, I will look into this. Jharkhand, one village is fully disabled people. Let's try to use the word differently abled for them. Very good. Sonal, Mamta, Deepika, Charita, Sabu. Absolutely, Chambal River is the right answer. With this, we have come to the conclusion of today's daily news analysis session. I wish all of you all the very best. Study really well. Absolutely right. Rishi, Amrita, Mansa, Dheeraj, all of you have given the correct answer. All of you are very dedicated when I'm asking questions, so you reply within seconds. That shows that you are really interested in watching and in understanding with the value addition points whatever we have discussed. Revise and make sure to practice that PYQ which I have mentioned. If you are not appearing this year, so you need to practice that question. Tomorrow we will meet at the morning 10 a.m. with another news analysis. So all the very best to all of you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.